Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TUBEBUDDY. I've used TUBEBUDDY for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TUBEBUDDY is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TUBEBUDDY and level up your channel faster. We working. Yo, bad news for Terence Crawford. It looks like PBC has all the belts at 147 and 154. I'm gonna talk about all that and more in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, y'all know what to do. Now, you guys seen the title of the video. This is bad news for Terence Crawford. And I'm gonna try my best to break it down in this here video, why I think the latest unfoldings in the welterweight and 154-pound division, it spells bad news for Terence Crawford. So let's begin. Make sure you guys smash the like button, hit the bell notification icon. I do this daily, drop the heat for you guys. Dope. Yesterday, Brian Castano, an Al Haymon advised PBC fighter, he went onto a different platform, DAZN, on a Golden Boy card. So he went on the foe or the ops card as mandatory to fight the then champion, Patrick Teixeira. Now, in this fight with Patrick Teixeira, he pretty well schooled Patrick Teixeira. His aggression, his volume, he was just too much for him. He won a unanimous decision, and he won it wide on the scorecards. So it was an easy fight to score. He almost stopped Patrick Teixeira in the 12th round, and he claimed the WBO championship belt at 154 with this belt. Now, I did talk about this in a separate video, but I wanted to create this separate on his own video to kind of laser focus in on the Terence Crawford angle. Now, the reason I'm saying this is bad news for Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford was just thrown under the bus by his own promoter a few months ago, Bob Arum. Bob Arum has pretty much not helped Terence Crawford's recent claims of being the A-side with Errol Spence. We'll just say that. He just fought someone that Errol Spence beat about 3 years ago in Kell Brook, and he beat him quicker, but Kell Brook hadn't had to make the weight in 3 years. And, you know, he didn't look like the same Kell Brook, if I'm being honest. Now, Terence Crawford, he did an interview recently, and he said he wants to come back maybe March or April. His contract with Top Rank does not expire until October, from what the report said. So we have to do a little bit of foreshadowing. Brian Castano, as I just mentioned earlier in this video, just picked up the last free WBO belt at 154 pounds, which means that PBC, as a staff, as a record label, and as a crew, as an entity, they control the 147 and 154 pound division with that final move. And I'm going to break it down in this video. Let's start with the lighter division, welterweight, 147. Who's the champion? Errol Spence. Errol Spence just knocked off Danny Garcia. Beat him better than, you know, other past people, and he was coming off an accident. Before that, he unified with Sean Porter, so he has 2 belts. Then Manny Pacquiao had a belt, but he took all of last year off because of the pandemic or whatever, and he didn't come back. And then he was talking about fighting Ryan Garcia in the exhibition. So as a result, he was stripped of his belt that he won a year before versus Keith Thurman. So Manny Pacquiao lost his belt, and now your Dennis Ugas of Cuba is the full champion, which means, as a betting man, I would say since Al Haymon advises your Dennis Ugas and he revamped his career, Ugas used to be signed with Top Rank, and then they released him, and then Ugas built his name. A lot of people didn't know him when he was with Top Rank, but he built his name really on PBC. And now he's the super champion. So it's an easy fight to make between Errol Spence and Ugas if they decide they want to make it. It's an in-house fight. Ugas, this is just me speculating, but Ugas is not clamoring and claiming he wants 50-50 or 60-40 like Terence Crawford. So, AKA, he's not probably going to be a headache to deal with or hard to deal with in terms of negotiating. I think he knows his role. He's the B-side. I think him and his team will realize it's an opportunity with Errol Spence. It's an opportunity to unify belts, and he has more belts than you. He has more popularity. However, Terence Crawford didn't get that same memo, and according to what he said last year, he doesn't feel that way. He feels he's done more than Errol Spence has done in his little career. That's what Crawford said. So Crawford does have the WBO belt at welterweight, but let's look at it. Pacquiao, they're saying he might fight Ryan Garcia. Maybe he fights Mikey Garcia. Maybe he fights Errol Spence. I guess there's a chance that he could fight Crawford. But for my view, I feel like, one, Pacquiao doesn't have a belt anymore. So if he does fight Crawford, he'd just be fighting him for, just to be fighting a legend. But he doesn't have a belt anymore. So that would hurt Crawford because it would no longer be a unification. He's been calling out Crawford for years and wanting to fight for years, and you finally get it, and then you get it when Pacquiao doesn't have a belt. I mean, I guess. So I don't really even see that fight happening next because I think there's more lucrative fights for Pacquiao where he'll make more money with Errol Spence or maybe even a Ryan Garcia if they do a real fight, just because it's a circus type of fight. So that's the 147-pound picture. All the top guys barring Terence Crawford, and he can't clone and fight himself, are with PBC. So what is Crawford going to do? Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Ugas. I think Manny Pacquiao has one more fight with PBC. Errol Spence, Berto, Adrian Broner, Sergey Lipinek. These are all PBC guys. So PBC is in total domination and complete control in terms of big fights at the 147-pound division. Now, there was thoughts that Terence Crawford could move up to 54 to fight a Golden Boy fighter. Recently, you've seen Golden Boy Eric Gomez, Oscar De La Hoya having a brunch or luncheon or some type of meeting with Bob Arum, talking about working together and just expanding their relationship, right? So it was assumed that Terence Crawford could be interested in going to 154 to fight Patrick Teixeira. But again, as I mentioned earlier in this video, Patrick Teixeira, the Golden Boy fighter at 54 that had a belt, just lost his belt to a PBC guy, Brian Castano, which I made a video about this. Check that on the channel as well for the latest and greatest so you guys don't miss out. So that means Brian Castano has one belt at 154, and the one guy that has all the other belts at 154, Jermell Charlo. They've basically, over the years, PBC has done a 154-pound tournament, where Jared Hurd was fighting against the likes of Edislandi Lara and the Tony Harrisons and Austin Trouts, later fighting J-Rock, and then J-Rock fights Jason Rosario, and then Charlo fights Jason Rosario, and then Charlo was knocking out his mandatories, Charles Hatley, and also Erickson Lubin, right? So they've kind of done a round robin, and Jermell Charlo has established himself as the supreme ruler of the 154-pound division. And now he just has another opponent with the final Thanos Infinity Stone that's also aligned with his people. So just like your Dennis Ugas and Errol Spence, two Al Haymon advised fighters, Charlo and Brian Castano, are both linked in the line with PBC as a brand and Al Haymon. So once again, these fights become easier to make. So, you know, it's looking like the Sean Porter fight might be Terence Crawford's best option. That's your mandatory. It's a fight that the fans have been claiming and wanting to see, even though that's not for a title either. So, you know, there's that, but you can at least say that's my mandatory. I have to fight Sean Porter, and it's a nice fight. But in terms of doing and duplicating what he did at 140, now you guys see how politics play into the equation and factor into this whole thing. Just like Teofimo's bragging and saying, oh, I beat Lomachenko, that's because Devin Haney was never given an opportunity to fight Lomachenko when he was the mandatory. Politics. So this is what happens in this new modern age of boxing. You get strong arm, and the politics game kind of plays keep away. So Terence Crawford is the latest victim. He's early 30s or whatever his age is, and the politics, I really don't know. He's on PBC's time. You know, he might as well sign to PBC, but he's kind of on their time because they have the 147 and 154 pound divisions locked up, as I've illustrated in this video. So I don't really see what move he'll do. Like I said, I guess the best bet would probably be to fight Sean Porter, but I'm just going off of what Crawford himself was saying. He's saying, hey, I'm the A side, you know, 50-50 with Errol Spence, or we don't have to fight. Errol Spence needs me. 60-40 versus Errol Spence with me getting 60%. Again, all these statements from Terence Bud Crawford, I do not see how any of them would come into fruition when, like I said from the beginning, you don't hold the keys and you don't have the leverage. Crawford is a brilliant fighter. I'll repeat it. He is a brilliant fighter. I have never not said that. But your brilliance in the ring and your skills in the ring is not the only thing that pays the bills. There's also a business and different parameters. So you could be as skilled as you want. That doesn't mean you have leverage in a negotiating situation, right? And that's simply what's happening here. All the top guys at 47-54 are with PBC. So Crawford is kind of at their mercy. It is what it is. Unless you guys can think of another brilliant fight, what is he going to do? Who's he going to fight at 54 without fighting a PBC guy? The top guys are Tony Harrison, Julian J. Rock Williams, Jermell Charlo, Brian Castano, Erickson Lubin, Swift Jared Hurd. Those are all Al Haymon advised PBC guys. So, and the only guys with belts now at that division, Charlo and Castano now. No more Golden Boy fighter has a belt at 54. There's no other fighter, non-PBC, outside of Crawford that has a belt at 147. And again, he cannot fight himself. So what is he going to do? That is my question. That is your homework assignment. If you see it another way, which I think I've illustrated it pretty clearly, but if you see it another way, drop me a comment and explain. We are not in the time of just belts meaning everything and stuff. They're talking about Ryan Garcia getting a Pacquiao fight. So if it was just about belts, how come somebody else with the real belt don't get the fight? Because we're in a different time. So boxing, you got to just deal with the realities of the sport and the shape and the condition that the sport is in right now and play by those rules. Crawford, again, excellent fighter, but he hasn't made excellent business moves, and now he's in this conundrum. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.